Good morning, and welcome to this special lay-led service today. I am Becky Elliott, one of the worship associates here. We come together this morning, in person and online, to rest for a moment, to pause from our week's work, to be together in community. Our gathering here is a communion, a communion of people with ideas, feelings, and hopes to share, and of people with time to listen to the ideas, feelings, and hopes of each other. In this place, together, we celebrate life. In this place, together, children and adults speak their stories, and they are listened to. In this place, together, the stories of those who are older give us inspiration and groundedness. The stories of those who are younger connect us to energy, openness, and anticipation. And the stories of those who are in between remind us that strength and encouragement are not elusive, but gifts we give each other. May we open our ears and our hearts as we experience the merging together of these personal words into one communal story.
The Flaming Chalice is the symbol of the Unitarian Universalist tradition, the liberal religious tradition to which this congregation belongs. Will those of you here in person please stand in body or in spirit for our chalice lighting? If you have a chalice at home, I invite you to light it with me at this time. As we kindle this flame, we recommit ourselves to the mission of this congregation to build a Unitarian Universalist community that transforms lives and empowers people to serve the world. May the light of this flame be welcoming to all who seek a liberal religious home. And I invite you to remain standing in body or in spirit for our opening hymn, number 128 in the gray hymnal, For All That Is Our Life, and led for you this morning by Bill McMillan.
That'll be me. For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad. For needs which others serve, for services we give, for work and its rewards, for hours of rest and love, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life, for sorrow we must bear, for failures, pain, and loss, for each new thing we learn, for fearful hours that pass, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life, for all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad.
Good morning. My name is Allison Hurwitz, and I am one of the newest worship associates here at UUFR. If you are visiting us for the first time this morning, I offer you a special welcome. Here at the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Raleigh, we are intentionally inclusive, liberally religious, and actively serving the common good of our shared world. Whoever you are, and wherever you are on your own religious journey, you are welcome here. As Unitarian Universalists, we seek wisdom and inspiration from many sources, but affirm our own individual experience and conscience as the best authority for our beliefs. We believe that the purpose of religion is to help us live most fully within this lifetime and to better the world we inhabit. We believe religious community helps us to do so. We hope that you might join us in some of the many things we do together to grow our own souls and to make the world more compassionate and just. If you are visiting us for the first time in person, I invite you to stop by our welcome stand in the foyer, if you haven't already done so. If you are a return visitor, you can pick up a more permanent name tag at our welcome stand. If you are visiting us online, I invite you to fill out our visitor form at www.uufr.org/visitor form. If you do this, you'll start receiving our weekly e-newsletter. I hope all of you will read through the chalice you received by email on Thursday about everything happening here around the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Raleigh. Our in-person social hour this morning will be outside on the upper balcony. And now I invite you to meet and greet your neighbor. Since some of our children and youth are among us this morning, please make a special effort to say hello to them as well.
Go back to your seats.
There will be time for all those conversations after the service during social hour. It's so good to see all of you here today. This is the time in our service when we acknowledge the joys and sorrows of our community. We do this because we believe that a joy shared is made greater, and a sorrow shared is made easier to bear. Anyone is invited to email a joy or sorrow to joysandsorrows@uufr.org before 9 a.m. on Sunday morning. Anyone is also invited to light a candle before the service, and if you wish, fill out one of the cards so your joy or sorrow can be shared with the congregation. I have some joys and sorrows to share with you this morning. On Friday, Rebecca Marmaduke, our board secretary, had hand surgery to address a repetitive stress injury brought about by decades of typing at work and as a volunteer. She'll be unable to use her hand for about 5 days, and she told me this morning she's watching from online. She asks for healing thoughts for herself and patience for her husband, Ben, who's going to be pretty busy handling anything she can't handle alone. So Rebecca and Ben, we send you healing energy and much patience. Jay Goodeman shares a joy and a sorrow. On August 7th, his mother, Patricia Collins, celebrated her 90th birthday. And on Monday, she lost her longtime companion and husband, Willis Collins. Jay, we celebrate with you your mother's special decade birthday, and we hold you and your family in our hearts on the passing of her husband. Lee Tate shares that a college friend, Janet Hammond, is having kidney and heart issues in a hospital in Pennsylvania. Let us all hold her and Lee and his family in our hearts. As we hold these shared joys and sorrows in our hearts and reflect on those unspoken joys, sorrows, fears, and hopes in our own lives, let's be together in stillness and silence, opening ourselves to that spirit within us and amidst us, called by many names, but known to every human heart, that leads us to a fuller, deeper, richer experience of life. After the silence, we'll sing hymn number 123, Spirit of Life, but now, let's be together in stillness and silence.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stars of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the tape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of light, come to me, come to me.
Here are some words by John Saxon. A religious community is like a river formed from the many streams of our lives that meet and merge and flow to the sea. As members and friends of this religious community, we share our time and energy, our creativity, imagination and vision, our talents, skills and gifts, and the streams of our individual lives to create a river that is made up of many streams, sustains life, and refreshes the land through which it flows. But the river of this community also depends on our shared financial support, which makes real our shared values and vision. We will now receive an offering for the support of this religious community and its work in the world. You are invited to give generously and joyfully as you are able. Please bring your offering forward and put it in one of our 2 offering plates. You may also give using one of the methods on the screen.
The reading today is The Summer Day by Mary Oliver. Who made the world? Who made the swan and the black bear? Who made the grasshopper? This grasshopper, I mean, the one who has flung herself out of the grass, the one who is eating sugar out of my hand, who is moving her jaws back and forth instead of up and down, who is gazing around with her enormous and complicated eyes. Now she lifts her pale forearms and thoroughly washes her face. Now she snaps her wings open and floats away. I don't know exactly what a prayer is. I do know how to pay attention, how to fall down into the grass, how to kneel down into the grass, how to be idle and blessed, how to stroll through the fields, which is what I have been doing all day. Tell me, what else should I have done? Doesn't everything die at last and too soon? Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? Today, 10 members of our congregation will answer that question. What is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? This service was first created by the Reverend Barbara Hamilton-Holway when she was a minister at South Valley UU Society in Salt Lake City, Utah. I've organized this service multiple times and in multiple churches, and this is the first time there have been speakers from all 10 decades. Each speaker will share their hopes and dreams, and there will be a musical interlude between each speaker, so please save your appreciation for each speaker until they have all spoken at the end. And now, we will begin with the youngest speaker.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jeremi, and I am in the first decade. I hope to answer this big question. What will I do with my one wild and precious life? My name means Song of Life, so I want to use and make technology that can make the planet a more enjoyable place for all living beings. Here are some of the ideas that I have. The carbon dioxide in the atmosphere causes global warming, so I want to invent nanobiotechnology that uses a microscopic fungus to convert carbon dioxide into oxygen. Since humans have an enormous carbon footprint, I want to learn how to construct buildings from bioengineered solar panels that absorb sunlight and provide both power to both buildings and the power grid. To help people be healthier, I hope to invent nanobots that treat a variety of diseases, including cancer, SARS-CoV-2, and pneumonia and others. Because I am worrying about too many creatures going extinct, I will make robots that sense when any species is nearing extinction and put a breeding pair of that species into multiple wildlife preserves closed to visitors, where it feels like their natural environment just without the danger. My goal is to build preserves on both land and underwater. Our planet is getting a bit crowded, so I would like to start a program called Project Liftoff, an operation to colonize the moon, then the solar system, installing a space elevator on each planet for transportation. I hope that some of my ideas made you think about our planet and possible solutions to its problems. Thank you for listening and giving me this opportunity to share my thoughts about what I am going to do with my one wild and precious life.
Good morning. My name is Phoebe Howerton, and I don't know if there's a more daunting question that you can ask a teenager than what are you going to do with your life? While currently applying to college, I've been bombarding myself with this same question. I think I've only come to terms with my answer very recently. With my life, I know that seeking out what makes me uncomfortable is the best thing I can do. Nothing has ever reaped the same benefits or sprung the same opportunities for me as taking healthy risks. This summer, I went on a family friend's lobstering boat in Maine. I am, for one, terrified of the ocean, and two, not a fan of lobsters. But pursuing that experience, despite the discomfort it brought me, made me a better person. It made me love the ocean in a way I hadn't before. Trying things that scare me is also exactly what has brought me to speaking on this stage now. These experiences have taught me that there is nothing more fulfilling in my one wild and precious life than finding out what I am capable of.
Hi, my name is Zane Batorti. I'm here representing the third decade. I'm the cameraman here, handling some of the sound right now, actually. Probably seen me back there before. So, to answer the question of what I want to do with my life, I've got to ask what the world is going to look like. And I'm pretty cynical about it. The planet's getting hotter and dirtier, and it doesn't show signs of stopping, let alone reversing. By the time I'm an old man, I expect that I'll have to abandon my home and move north to survive the increasing heat. And our beautiful, centering, spiritually connected natural areas, I expect are going to keep degrading until Umstead Park is a landfill. And then there's going to be wars fought over vital resources, our country's going to get more militaristically fascist, and this is all just stuff that goes through my head a lot when I'm thinking about the future. It's not a lot of fun. But what am I going to do about it? Well, I want to try and make the world a better place, of course. I don't think I'll be very successful. I'm one person, and I'm never going to be rich. But what I can do is put my labor towards good goals, change my own behavior, and push our country's oligarchs towards good ends. I'm studying to be a sustainability consultant. I want to find ways that businesses can be more sustainable and push them to do those things. I don't buy from companies like Walmart or Amazon because that's the only thing I can think of right now to push them to abandon their unsustainable, slave labor-based models. In fact, I usually try and avoid buying things wherever I can. Been building a lot of self-sufficient skills like sewing, car mechanics, cooking, and eventually I'd like to take on carpentry and electrician work as well. In terms of broader politics, my experiences with mass activism and nonprofits have left me somewhat jaded and disinterested, but I still like direct action, and I vote every election. I vote my conscience. I'll keep doing that as long as I can. These are all things that I think are reasonable and achievable ways that I can make the world a better place. My country, my community, my family. All of them. Some other things that fill my heart while I'm working towards these goals are nature and my relationships. I put a lot of effort into my connections with people, spend a lot of free time in nature, parks, fields, even just laying in a patch of grass. Makes me feel connected to the earth and warm and fuzzy inside. In our society, it feels like is getting somewhat colder and more disconnected, especially in our younger generations. I can't fix it, but I can work on having my own deep and meaningful relationships with my family, with the people around me. I like making music with my friends. It's one of my favorite hobbies. I don't know if it's ever feasible, but I'd like to own a home that I can have my whole extended family live with me in one day. All I know is that I really like being close to people, like being in nature, and it makes me feel more sane. So I don't know exactly where I'm going. My vision for the future is a little bit bleak, but I'm committed to doing what good I can with my one wild and precious life. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Holly Thomason, and I'm part of our 30s decade group. When I was prompted with this question, I was honestly overwhelmed. I thought, I don't know what I want to do with my life. I'm still too young to have it all figured out. So I started thinking, well, how much time do I have left? And what will I do with that time? I tried to quantify it. If I'm lucky enough to live to 80, for me, that's in about 16,741 days, or about 400,000 hours. I plan to spend about a third of those hours sleeping or resting so I can be energized to live out that life. I have to work to provide for myself and my family, and I actually do enjoy it most times. So I'll spend another third of doing that, at least until I can retire. Over the past few years, I have developed skill and found a passion in my work. I've spent half of my career working for a rocket company, helping build rockets and spacecraft and making space travel easy. I hope I can continue to do this and see the next generation travel to other worlds. Because as Carl Sagan said, somewhere something incredible is waiting to be known. And if I don't get to know those incredible somethings, I hope my 1-year-old daughter, Eliza, will someday. But what else will I do with my remaining 1/3 of a day or 133,000 hours that's not sleeping or working? I hope it's spent with the people I love and care for. I want to raise my family and be a part of a community. But I also want to enjoy the simple things. The smell of fresh baked bread, or the feeling of fall while laying in a hammock. I want to hold my husband's hand and make Eliza laugh. I want to eat popcorn at the movies, pick fresh summer tomatoes, and watch sunsets over the Blue Ridge Mountains. I want to see and dance to live music, to stargaze and take bubble baths. There is more than those simple things, though. I want to travel and visit the wonders of the world, or maybe another world, and the places that maybe aren't so wonderful, to get to know this world's communities and cultures, and help those that are struggling enjoy those simple things. Because I know being able to do so is a luxury we don't all have, and we all deserve some days to take a nice hot bubble bath. I'm not sure I'll make it to 80, though, and may not have those 400,000 hours, in which case, I think it's important for me not to pressure myself in planning for the future. And most importantly, appreciate the right now. I have limited control over what the rest of my life looks like, but I can control how I feel right now. I, for one, constantly need to remind myself of that, and that life is a journey. I just hope when I'm 80, 90, or 100, and living on Mars, riding that space elevator with Summary, that I savored and appreciated the journey to get there, and that I helped those enjoy their own journey. Thank you.
I guess we're in between now. My Chalice group made me do these type of activities, but they sure never made me do it in front of everyone. I know about 12 of you in this fellowship, so this is way more than I typically like to talk about with strangers. Hello, I'm Erin Krupa. I'm an associate professor of mathematics education at North Carolina State University. I've spent most of my life trying to fit in and hustling to achieve the next rung on the ladder, rarely coming up for fresh air. Growing up, I played sports and was interested in math. In my teens, I went to cotillion and to church, praying to a God that I knew wouldn't love me. In my 20s, I met the most amazing person and fell in love. She and I hid our relationship from the majority of people we knew, insulating ourselves from the harm of the outside world, while outwardly appearing to be happy and single. In our 30s, we moved to a liberal town in New Jersey outside of New York City and decided we were going to walk hand in hand, open and honestly from that point forward. We had a civil union in front of all of our friends and family, and then once we were allowed, we got married. We tried to expand our family, which took 5 years, 6 miscarriages, lots of science, and 1 cute little puppy before we gloriously and gratefully welcomed our 2 kids. So now, in my 40s, a decade I entered in April of 2020, when we all temporarily lost our communities and were confined to our homes, I will live my life as my true, authentic self and enjoy all the precious little moments that are missed when I'm trying to live for someone else or to climb to the next step. I want to know that I was fully present when my 3-year-old son after dinner says, "I have a great idea. Let's all go cuddle on the couch with me." Or after I've been on my feet and my 5-year-old daughter calls me into her room for the 6th time and says, "Mommy, can I just give you a hug and a kiss?" And I hastily walk over and she kisses me 3 times on the right arm, 3 times on the left arm, twice on each cheek, once on the forehead, and says, "Mommy, do you feel loved?" I want to take the time to have her call my dad, like yesterday, and say, "Buddy, I scored my first goal in soccer," and then hear how proud my dad is of his granddaughter. And come home after work, like on Thursday, and witness my mom sitting on the floor with our son after he got his chin glued back together because he was jumping like a cat out of the bathroom at school. And she dropped everything to come take care of him. See, these are the moments, if we allow ourselves, that warm our hearts. The reality is, at best, we have about 2 decades left with our parents and about 2 decades left with our kids under our roof. So most of all, I want to enjoy each of these moments as my true, authentic self, because ultimately, in 2, 3, 4, or if we're lucky, 5 more decades, I just want to recall all these precious moments as I'm hand in hand with my one wild and precious wife.
Good morning. Thanks. I'm Rob Scheller, and we've been members of UUFR since 2018. Becky asked us all to look forward, but first I need to provide some context looking back. As I'm in my 50s, mid-50s, which is, I really don't like it says my 6th decade, that throws me off. As I'm in my mid-50s, I'm almost exactly 2/3 of the way through my career. I'm faculty at NC State, and I study how climate change will alter forested landscapes around the world and what we should do to maintain forest health despite climate change. This is just one component of climate adaptation that we will all need to embrace in the coming decades. My 30-year career to date has been as successful as I ever could have hoped for. I've collaborated with amazing people from across the globe, and we've produced valuable information that has changed how forests are managed for the long term. Not everyone is on board, but it's a good start. Yet what I've also discovered is that a successful career is necessarily a somewhat selfish career. You have to constantly be promoting your ideas and yourself. You have to fight for funding and fight for students and lab space and equipment and publications. So for the last few years, I've been asking myself, how can I make the next 15 years of my career, and also after retirement, how can I make those years more about giving back to my communities, my academic community and scientific community, my local community, and the global community? And so that's what I want to do with my wild, maybe not too wild, that's not really my MO, and definitely precious life. I want to find ways to repay all the support I've received from my communities and find ways to pay that forward to future generations. I've recently taken a new job at State that will allow me to support junior and mid-career faculty as I was supported for the past 30 years. And I've gained a lot of wisdom over those last 30 years, mostly through rejection and failure, that can help those mid and early career faculty themselves become successful. And I joined UUFR after a 30-year hiatus from organized religion with the intention to make a difference in our local community. I don't need to tell you about all the many and exciting ways we do that here at UUFR. Finally, I hope I can combine those two endeavors to improve the lives of people in North Carolina, improve the lives for people around the globe, and for future generations as we grapple with the ongoing climate crisis. I really believe places like UUFR have the potential to become models of engaged and compassionate influencers that are fighting for equity now and into the future. I will use my experience to aid in that endeavor and to continue the struggle, a struggle that will last until the end of my life and well beyond. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Jan Vitale, and I am proud and pleased to be in my 60s, not my 7th decade that I've ever thought of it as. When Becky asked me to participate in this service, at first I was thinking only of things that I do in my current life, but I began to realize that she was asking me to think more about the future rather than the present, which I hadn't really done recently. Talk about living in the moment. As it turns out, I do have goals for the future. First, I would like to age in place. 5 years ago, Gary and I moved into a house in Garner that is affordable, basically one floor, with ample space for our interests, plus things that we will need like higher toilets, wide hallways, and a walk-in shower. Next, I would like to continue to travel. We have managed a few trips despite COVID and have some ideas in mind for future travels, Italy in particular. And I would also like to get to some states that I have never visited, including Maine and Rhode Island. We have family in Ohio and Arizona and try to get to these places fairly regularly too. I would like to watch my 3-year-old grandson, who lives about 10 minutes from us, grow up and graduate from high school. We spend time with him fairly regularly since he is so close by. Finally, I would like to continue to do the things I enjoy: sew, quilt, read, socialize, and continue to learn. So how will I prepare myself now to do these things in the future? I have to stay healthy physically. I try to eat a good diet and constantly battle my weight. Gary and I walk the dog daily, I walk with other friends, and I participate in a yoga class. I also have to stay healthy mentally. I read books and at least browse the New York Times daily. I do puzzles every day. I enjoy things like Scrabble online, Wordle, and the Times Spelling Bee. I think that part of staying healthy mentally is to socialize. I participate in a book club with friends that I used to work with. I am in the UUFR Fiber Arts Group, a social group through UUFR, and the Capital Quilters Guild, which meets monthly. The Guild gives me the opportunity to socialize, use my current quilting skills to support the charity work that we do there, and to grow my skills through continuing education. I also have to stay healthy financially, which tends to be less in my own control, especially these days. I am fortunate to have retirement income from 40 years of work in 2 different states. I plan to continue to participate in craft shows, which supplements my income enough to support my sewing habit and gives us money towards travels. Plus, I enjoy the interactions with customers and enjoy knowing that something I make will be in someone's house after I'm gone. So my plan is to make the very most of my wild and precious life by preparing myself to continue to live independently, travel when possible, hang out with my family and friends, do the things that I enjoy, continue to learn, and leave behind a legacy of things that I have made and memories for my family. There was a wonderful line in a guest essay in the New York Times last December that has stuck with me since I read it. The essay was, "I just turned 60, but I feel 22, which I do," by Margaret Renkl. She said, "Sorrow in the face of aging would be a poor response to such good fortune." Thank you.
Hello, my name is Tate, and I realize, I think I'm on the last page, which reminds me that I'm closer to the exit than I am to the entrance. That's not a bad thing. So anyway, I thought about what will I do with this one wild and precious life. I love learning, traveling, and being in nature. I love people, culture, art, and music, my favorite things there. I love that song. This gives me a large playing field in which to immerse myself daily, and I do. It's easy to make plans to do the things that I want to do, the things that inspire me and bring me joy, especially now that I'm retired. I wake up every day, I pray, I meditate, I exercise, I enjoy a healthy breakfast, the whole morning to myself. How selfish could I be? As the day unfolds, I study Spanish, spend time with my family, plan for my next adventure, whether it be near or far. I volunteer for activities that I enjoy and that feed my desire to give back to the community. And of course, I spend time on those yes, dear activities that I cannot ignore if I want to keep this happy life vibe going. I'm looking forward to traveling again to Guatemala this winter. Next year, I envision spending time in Spain, traveling and immersing myself in the language and the culture. There are so many things that I want to do and that I can do. But of late, I'm learning to be more mindful of quality rather than quantity. I'm learning to become fine with downtime and with saying no to requests for more of my time. I'm learning to be more open and accepting of my emotions, even though sometimes the landscape of emotions frightens the hell out of me. I'm learning that the real connections that I seek come from the people right in front of me. And those connections are charged with wonder and excitement. As I journey through this life, I'm reminded of a poem by Joyce Rupp entitled Leaf by Leaf by Leaf. And here are a few excerpts. Leaf by leaf by leaf, they tumble and fall, all my haggard hurts. Leaf by leaf by leaf, they fall from my heart like a tree in its own time. It seems a forever process, this healing of hurt, and I am none too patient. But a day finally comes when the old tree with no leaves is decidedly ready for the new. In my waiting heart, the branches with no leaves has a hint of green. Thank you.
was going to start out with we all. I didn't realize how big we all was till I get up here and see you. Okay. We all, Linda Hames, by the way, we all seem to think of each decade of our lives as a milestone, and so does the Hallmark Card Company. On each of my own milestone birthdays, I have very proudly claimed that was my best decade ever. And each time I truly meant it. They just kept getting better. I can't truthfully say that about this one that I'm in now. And that's mainly because of creaking knees and shoulders and hips. Before retirement, for 50 years, I was all science, any science. The more science, the better. This is still true for me now. Science is my co-pilot. But now, instead of teaching science, I discover new frontiers of science on NOVA programs and as a student in OLLI classes, and just listening to my son's debate global warming and everything else. Since retirement, I have seriously taken up 3 things. As we've been hearing in our interludes, my favorite things. One is art in many forms, working with pastels and watercolors and carving gourds and oils and so on. Number 2, family genealogy, exploring all branches of our family trees. And number 3, my front yard, which I look at as art too. It's like a blank canvas ready for colors and textures and composition. Hours that I spend on any of these 3 bring me comfort now, and I hope to be able to enjoy all 3 of these for another decade or 2. I do have one important task that I need to work on, and it's in the area of genealogy. I am still hoping that I can persuade one of my sons or one of my grandchildren to take over the boxes of files and computer folders of family genealogy records. So far, that has not happened. Sonnya, I can't wait to hear the wisdom that comes from one more decade.
Well, I got up here. Well, your last speaker is truly an old person. So old, in fact, that this is a true story. That she remembers visiting her great-grandfather who fought in the Civil War. Let me add that he owned no slaves, but was the usual soldier that we have that has to go to war so the rich people can get richer while the poor get poor. I was the first person in my family to go to college, right down the street. Believe it or not, I'm a Meredith Angel. A lot of people don't believe that, but I am. My happiest time is remembering all the privileges I have had and all the fun. I even got to live in Europe for 2 years, courtesy of Uncle Sam, when my husband was drafted into the Army. I also fulfilled my lifelong dream of becoming a newspaper reporter, thanks to the comic book heroine, Brenda Starr, girl reporter. Y'all are too young to remember her, but she was a big figure in my life. She influenced me as a little girl. After a series of glamorous but poor-paying jobs, I morphed into a real estate tycoon and paid off the mortgage on my house, a Depression-era survivor's biggest dream, to own a home. I'm blessed with children who love and care for me, and I belong to a religion that works every day to truly make this world a better place. My hope for the future is to be remembered as a person who comforted the afflicted and afflicted the comfortable. It has been my great privilege to be one of the founders of this congregation, my husband and myself, and to belong to this congregation. And may the great spirit of the universe bring you peace, love, and joy forever. Thank you.
Thank you, all the speakers, for sharing what they plan to do with their one wild and precious life. And now it's your turn. I invite you to sit back, relax, put both feet on the floor, close your eyes, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. Imagine you are on a path in the woods. The path is wide, and you feel very comfortable here. There are trees, bushes, and plants on both sides of the path. You are walking forward, hearing birds sing, noticing small animals skitter through the vegetation, smiling at the butterflies flitting among the trees, smelling the wildflowers that you come across unexpectedly. The path is comforting, known to you, sometimes challenging, but always urging you forward. Now you come to an open clearing, and you notice a path leading off in the distance. As you stop to look around, you realize this place is inviting you to envision your future. You begin to cross the clearing. What do you see? What is important? Where will you go on your journey? What will your future hold? What do you have left to do with your one wild and precious life? You have reached the path on the other side of the clearing. As you begin to walk on it, hold the visions, dreams, and wishes close. Carry them with you. And now, slowly, come back to the room. Open your eyes. Remember what you saw in the clearing. Let those things guide you as you continue on your own wild and precious path. Blessed be. And now, if you will please stand in body or spirit for our closing hymn, number 108, My Life Flows On in Endless Song.
My life flows on in endless song above earth's lamentation. I hear the real, though far off hymn that hails a new creation. Through all the tumult and the strife, I hear the music ringing. keep from singing? When tempest around me roars, I know the truth, it liveth. What though the darkness round me close? Songs in the night it giveth. No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to that rock I'm clinging. Since love prevails in heaven and earth, how can I keep from singing? When tyrants tremble as they hear the bells of freedom ringing, when friends rejoice both far and near, how can I keep from singing? No prison cell and dungeon vile, our thoughts to them are winging. When friends by shame are undefiled, how can I keep from singing?
The closing words today are from Mary L. Cleary, although I've modified them slightly. May the peace of flowing water be with us. May the beauty of starry skies be with us. May the wisdom of the decades be with us. May the warmth of companionship be with us. And may the miracle of this world in its fullness bless us this day and each day of our lives. And now let us extinguish the chalice, holding within us the light of each wild and precious life that we have learned about today. Go in peace.